Good afternoon, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and remember to always check your brake fluids. Never know when Janine is gonna make her move. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game that just released on Steam earlier today called Redemption Reapers, and if I sound a little bit off, it's because I am. Either I'm sick or I'm having a bad case of allergies, I don't know, but if I sound off, which I'm pretty sure I do, I apologize. Now, this was developed by AdGlobe and published by Binary Haze Interactive. Now, these two companies don't have any other games on Steam, so I'm assuming they're indie. But the point is, this game looks pretty good. It doesn't look like an indie game. Selling for $50 American, this game was not released in early access. So you play as a few characters, actually, not just one. But the main character, I think, is named Sarah, and she's a part of this brigade, the Ashen Hawk Brigade. Some kind of mercenary order or something, I don't know. And these monsters, called the Mort, sprung up out of nowhere in massive numbers, burning down kingdom after kingdom on their endless march towards killing everything good and pure. They're your basic Darkspawn from Dragon Age, or Reapers from Mass Effect, or zombies in Call of Duty. Evil for the sake of evil, killing for the sake of killing, giving you a villain for the sake of having something to fight and kill that doesn't make you question moral values. Who are they? Why are they? What do they want? What are they themselves? Like, we have no idea. They just show up, start killing, and everyone is just trying to survive. Now, as always, we'll go into the good and the bad before my final thoughts. Make sure you stay tuned, as there might be a key component somewhere in this video that makes or breaks your decision, alright? So first up for the positives is the sound effects and voice acting. The music as well. It's all pretty good. The voice acting is pretty darn good, actually. Not once did I listen to it thinking that it sounded forced or that it didn't sound convincing. Now, don't get me wrong, they have their awkward moments of cringe.
I prefer my head to stay firmly on my shoulders, which is why I strap these daggers on each morning. Isn't that the reason you fight? To stay alive?
Well...
You always were too serious for your own good.
I wish you'd stop teasing me like this, Captain.
But I think that's from the writing and pacing, not the voice actors' faults. There's some really good voice actors here. Some of them sound familiar. I want to give them tons of props. They all sounded great. The sound effects are great and appropriate overall, and I didn't have much issue with the sounds, period. Although in the dialogue options, they're out of the cutscene, the volume on their voices goes way down. It's distracting and harder to hear them even at max volume. And that's a bit weird and annoying. But other than that, everything in terms of listening sounded pretty good. The next positive is the gameplay itself. The gameplay is like a more fluid form of Fire Emblem. It's got grids and it's turn-based, but with freedom of movement within an allotted distance. The characters have different animations based on what they're doing, or what weapon they're using. They have joint attack combos, and overall the gameplay is reminiscent of Fire Emblem, but for the more modern age, I think. Plus, you've got dialogue options, character leveling system, gear management, shops, and for the most part, everything is fluid and makes sense. But so far, it seems to just be a repetitive loop of doing a mission, getting a cutscene, doing a mission, getting a cutscene, rinse and repeat over and over again. So it's kind of like Fire Emblem, except Fire Emblem didn't have cutscenes. There's a combo function where if your companions are next to an enemy you are attacking, they can join in and attack as well. Up to 4 times, and what I mean is up to like 4 people, like each person can attack once. So if you've got, if you have an enemy boss surrounded by your team, they all get to smack him once before, until he's dead or until your turn is up. It's really cool. There's also a skill XP share system where if one of your characters go down in the mission, the others can share their XP with him after the mission to try and keep him up to level with the rest of you. Speaking of characters going down, when they do go down, they don't die and disappear like in Fire Emblem. They're just out for that mission, which for me, I like. Because I always hated it how in Fire Emblem they go down in combat and now they're out for the game, but they're still around in the cutscenes. It didn't make any sense. Next up is the stability. The game played great, at least for me. It was smooth, it was stable with no crashes or glitches or frame rate drops. It never bugged out on me and seemed to be working perfectly fine for the entirety of my playthrough. Then you've got the tutorial and the overall writing. So the tutorial is really well done. It teaches you what you need to know, short, simple, and to the point, and then it gets out of your face so you can enjoy the game. All done in the context of the story. So, it's well done. And the overall writing was really good too. I didn't notice any grammar mistakes, spelling errors, or whatnot, but that's not all. The actual quality of the writing is good too. The names, the places, the people, how they act, what they say, the story, and how it's structured, it's all really well done. So, that's all I got for the positives. Now we're going to have to move on to the negatives. But before we get into that, if you don't mind, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could support my tiny channel. I don't get paid a lot, and expensive games like this really take their toll on my finances. So if you could like, comment, share the video, and subscribe, it would go a long way to helping me and my channel. Thank you. Now then, on to the negatives. The first and most glaring negative is that price tag. I mean, it is huge, and I'm not sure if this game is quite that level of good. I mean, $50. If the graphics were better, I'd probably be more on board, but even then, that's a lot of money for a game with this kind of system and gameplay. I know the voice actors require money, as does other assets of the game and whatnot. You know, I know there's a lot of costs involved in developing a game, but even so, I'm worried that $50 might be too big of a price tag for a lot of people. It almost stopped me from doing this review, to be honest. And since I don't know how long the game is, it makes it harder to judge. I think $40 would have been more appropriate, but this is all just my opinion. Next up is the graphics. While they aren't terrible, they aren't the best either. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not bad to look at. Not at all. It just has some other issues. As you're listening, just look at this scene before you. The detail on the Mort monsters here is fantastic and incredible. A lot of attention to detail. Look, you can see everything here. But look at the detail on the humans. It's awful. And this will be a recurring theme throughout your gameplay. Some things will look really good with great lighting, great contrast, and great attention to detail, but others will look out of sync, messed up resolution, lack of detail, or overall just ugly. And when you put those two types next to each other, there's very clearly a sense of wrongness that just comes over as the drastic changes right next to each other, and it can pull you out of your immersion for the game. The last negative is kind of a nitpick for me. It's just a bunch of little things, all rolled up into one. None of these things are large enough to warrant their own negative points, so I just accumulated them all here. The fact that the balancing with the sounds is off. In some scenes, everything sounds perfect, but in other scenes, the sounds are awfully balanced, so it's hard to hear. Or the fact that combat is imbalanced. Not quite at the point the game is unplayable, but maybe just a bit nonsensical. Like, enemies are constantly hitting me with a 55% chance rate, and I'm constantly missing with a 90% chance rate. I mean, I feel like those numbers should be switched or something, because that doesn't seem right. Then, you've got the lack of gameplay between missions. I mean, you do a mission, you get a cutscene, go to a menu to level up your guys, rinse and repeat. And I mean, yeah, it's a lot like Fire Emblem, but I mean, it's like Fire Emblem from 15 years ago. Even Fire Emblem doesn't do it like that anymore. So the style of gameplay is a bit outdated, at least in certain points. I do love, however, the whole being able to freely run around and not having to just click on a block and then click on another block like in Fire Emblem. So being able to run around like that is actually really cool, but even so, it still seems a little bit out of place when you're in between missions and cutscenes and you're just staring at this, you know, screen that's just a menu. I mean, give us relationships, give us some kind of form of management or something, give us exploration, give us maybe a little bit of customization, just give us a bit more. And the reason why I say that is because I think you only get up to 5 characters throughout your gameplay. That's what it says on the Steam store page. So if you only get up to 5 characters and you don't get like 20 like in Fire Emblem, then why not give us a little bit more and letting us customize how they look maybe, or customize how they play maybe, or something like that. By the way, I want to take a quick mention and say that the game did mention that their attacks change based on their weapons. They can hold up to certain types of weapons. Now, I haven't tested this yet, but I think they can use any types of weapons? Question mark? I don't know. I hope so, because that would be really cool. I'm going to try it the next time I play. So that could be really cool, because in Fire Emblem you have to stick to your weapons, you know what I mean? And that's all I got for the good and the bad. And honestly, the bad aren't even all that bad. I mean, sure, the graphics can be distracting, as can the sound effects. Plus, trying to convince yourself to pay the $50 for this is also a hassle. Then you've got the nitpickings, but even still, overall, guys, I think this game is pretty great. I mean, hell, I already spent the money, and I'm enjoying myself enough that I actually really want to keep playing. Too bad I just decided to replay The Witcher 3 again after that big graphics update. So, you know, I'm probably going to be doing that for the rest of my life. But I'll definitely return to this game as soon as I can. I mean, I found myself really having fun and just enjoying it, which is, I didn't think I would. But when it was time for me to get off the game and start writing the script, I was like, I didn't want to. I wanted to keep playing. Overall, I think it's a great little game. Definitely something you should keep an eye on. I mean, if you can't afford that price tag, I understand. Sure, wait. I don't blame you. But even so, I still think this is something that everybody should check out. You know, put it on your wish list. Wait for a discount. It's worth your time. It's worth your attention. And possibly, it's even worth your money, depending on how long it is and if it ends up offering more content down the road. So, yeah, check it out. If you can afford it, then get it. It's actually really good. But, yeah, that's all I got. So thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.